right now, it looks like. I'll probably take a second here to share this out as soon as it is done redirecting.
They're not going to want to come to Uganda because they're going to go crazy.
That's probably why they would want to come to Uganda.
Yeah.
Add some adventure to their lives.
Mm-hmm. We should sing a song or something.
Go for it. What are you going to sing?
We could sing the traditional birthday song if there are any birthdays out there. In Uganda, we sing it this way. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. It's the end of it. Yeah.
I kind of like it, though. I kind of like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's quick. It's to the point. I feel bad for you. Go ahead.
I think Hey, Kiera Brown is watching.
Kiera Brown.
Hey, Kiera Brown has been on a missions trip to Uganda, I believe.
Yep, I know her.
Right? Yeah.
Hi, Kiera Brown. I remember.
Sweet. We got one of our young leadership trainees watching as well. So
Hello.
I think we are good. I've got it shared out. So we will go ahead and kind of jump in. I'm sure others will join us as we go.
All right.
But for those watching now and later, I'm with Justin and Debbie Williams,
Hi, guys.
WGM missionaries, World Gospel Mission in Uganda. So guys, thanks so much for joining. And
thank you for having us.
Yeah. And so just real quick, what we're doing this month of May for Mount Hope is we are interviewing about 7 missionaries. Last Tuesday, we checked in with the Tejedas on the Texas-Mexico border. Today, we obviously have the Williams. On the schedule for next week, next Tuesday, we have Ethan and Ashley Bachelet from Honduras, also with WGM. And then following Thursday, Nathaniel and Nicole Summers in Texas-Mexico border, also WGM. The following week will be with the Kubas in Japan. And then John and Julie Lauder, they're actually stateside in Kentucky with In Faith. And then we'll finish up with the Berkeys in Arizona, WGM. And then Sarah and I will actually be interviewed on the last one by our board president. So I'm excited about these, just the opportunity to kind of get to hear what's happening on the field with some of the missionaries. And honestly, it's kind of a little taste of what Missions Hour is like at Mount Hope. And that's kind of what we're hoping from this. And so we're just going to kind of just jump right in, guys. And I would just like, if you would, just share, like, if you can give us just kind of a brief testimony of how you decided to make that decision to follow Jesus.
Yeah, you want to go first?
No, your story's way more interesting.
My story's not that interesting. I did not grow up in a Christian home. I grew up in Dallas, Texas, with a single mom who worked a lot, and so I didn't have much of any church background whatsoever. I had people that would take me to church from time to time, some neighbors that would come in and take me to church, but Christianity was never something that I even thought about until my mom remarried when I was about 18 years old, 15 years old. And then we moved to Indianapolis, Indiana. And I ended up going to a Christian school where I heard the gospel from somebody that I respected. He was a tough teacher. He was a tough teacher. But there was definitely love behind his eyes. And he conveyed the gospel so well. And I remember calling him. I called him about 11:30 one night. I thought, man, this guy's going to beat me up. I called him at 11:30 and he said, hey, Justin. And I was like, wow, how did you know? It wasn't caller ID back then. I'm very old, by the way. But I called, I said, I have to know this Jesus. I need to know this Jesus. And so he led me to Christ right there. I gave my heart to him. And from them every day, it's been a walk. It's been a walk, and it's been an incredible walk, and I would never undo it. I would never go back and unmake that decision, because it's awesome. It's awesome to be a believer.
So mine is like as polar opposite as you can get. I grew up in an amazing Christian family. I was in church from the time I was 3 days old until now. There's never been a time in my life where I didn't know Jesus. I remember when I was 7, my dad asked me to accept Jesus into my heart. And I said, why? He's already there. Like, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But he's like, no, you need to formally do it. So like, you can kind of put that stamp on it. Like you're 7, you have a good idea about what Christ has done for you. So, I have that official acceptance at 7. But honestly, I don't remember a time in my life where Jesus wasn't there. Now, that being said, my parents were amazing, but I felt very confined. So, my freshman year of college was really my year to decide whether this is my faith or my parents' faith, if that makes sense. So really, at the end of my freshman year of college is when I got baptized. And I said that this is a choice that I'm going to make for myself. It's not a lifestyle that my parents have chosen for me, that I am choosing Jesus now, that I have control over, all of my decisions. So I got baptized after my freshman year of college, and that was it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was actually reading your bio a little bit this morning, and I was hoping that you would make that statement that it was no longer my parents' faith, but my faith. I know a lot of our campers that come to camp, that's their same story. They've grown up in a Christian home, and they just kind of assume that, I'm just going to get in by what my parents have done and what they've taught me. But we have to make it personal, right? And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's just a fantastic testimony. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank
So
you.
let's move in here. Let's move in a little bit more about how you specifically feel like God was calling you to be a missionary. Like, what led you that direction?
We just so you know, everybody that's listening, neither one of us ever had in our minds that we were going to be career missionaries. It was never on our radar. It was never a thought. And the one thing that made the difference is that I took a short-term mission trip. The short-term trip is exactly what God used. I took 2. I took my first one in 2010 here to Uganda, and it was because I was becoming a youth pastor. I'm good with youth because I'm animated, but I realized, that I'm going to be doing these mission trips. I should probably go on a mission trip to see what this is about. Really wanted to go to Rwanda, but the door to Rwanda was closed so much. I mean, every time I tried, the door was closed. And so I ended up going on a short-term trip with WGM to Uganda. And I thought, what in the world am I doing? Why? I got in the plane takes off, and I'm like, I'm going to Uganda. What in the world am I doing? And then I landed here in 2010. And for the next 2 weeks, God began to peel back the onion and show me, hey, I can use you here. 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 And I thought, but I'm a nobody, and God's like, no, you're somebody, and I'm going to use you. And so for me, that's really where the general call happened, was on a short-term trip. We are huge, adamant fans of short-term teams going to different places, in particular Uganda, but just going. If God's, that's how we got here. That's really one trip, one short-term trip, and we're here. Yeah. Anything?
Well, he came back from that trip in 2010 and says, we're moving to Uganda. And I said, crazy people move to Uganda. We're not going anywhere.
And we're crazy.
So, but I did tell him that I've learned, I have no desire to be Jonah. I have no desire to run the other direction from what God has asked me to do, but I have no problems being Gideon. If I'm going to move to Uganda, I've got to know that I know this is what I have to do. And it wasn't, and I know that sounds weird for a missionary to say, I have to do this. It's not, I get to do this. It's a, okay, Lord, you're going to make me do this.
Yeah.
So, and I will tear up because anytime, like, you know, those moments where the Holy Spirit just like grabs you. So,
I won't look at you.
oh, stop it. I'll be fine. In 2012, I went back with him because he really wanted to. And so in 2012, I went back with him, and just the whole trip, God really put on my heart just different times that this is where you're supposed to be. This is where he's supposed to be. And I've got a place for you too. And just, there was one day where he was preaching at a church, one of the Ugandan churches out in Jinja. And I'm watching him preach, and God goes, see, this is exactly what he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to be at FedEx. He's supposed to be a preacher. And I'm like, okay, Lord. And then we went back to our host family, and she hadn't been in the church service. She didn't see me struggling. She had been out with her kids during the service, and I was helping her make lunch that day. And she's like, Debbie, all week, God has been working on me to tell you that we need teachers like you here in Uganda. As a missionary kid myself, we have a lot of really weird people like that come over here, and they need normal, well-adjusted people to come over here and teach. And she's like, there was one teacher like that in my missionary kid career, and that teacher meant the world to me. So I start bawling all over again because I'm like, Lord, do I really have to do this? And then we travel 4 hours back to Kampala to a whole nother set of WGM missionaries that once again have no idea what I've been battling with. And in prayer meeting, they bring up, this is the first time in 10 years we have no new missionaries in the line to come to Uganda. Pray that God will raise up new missionaries.
Here we are. Here we are.
So I lost it, and I finally said, I got it. You can leave me alone. I'll go to Uganda.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
for those of people questioning, God really will make it clear that that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, there's no, I'll tell you this, I mean, because this is the question that we get all the time. You know, I'm not sure if God is calling me to Uganda. Okay, if you're already exploring that question, I think you can safely assume that that's a general call. When it's time for it to be specific, he will not be vague. He will definitely not be vague. My wife is not an emotional person.
No.
And so for a solid 24 hours, he was not vague. I mean, it was very, very, very evident that this was where we were supposed to be.
And I need to add in there too, that even though this was God's choice for me, not my choice, the blessings that have followed from it is completely worth the submitting to God.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it, guys. I absolutely love it. Okay, well, you guys maybe kind of hinted at that, but let me ask this question, and I think for maybe some people that are watching, this may be very helpful. What advice would you give somebody? And I think you kind of already hinted again, but what advice would you give to somebody that maybe they feel like God is calling them into missions?
Yeah, I mean, just straight away. I know right now is not a time to get on an airplane and go somewhere. But I really, don't go to the airport. Okay. Don't go. Right. Whatever you do.
Take a trip.
Yeah. Take a trip.
We have people that come anywhere from 2 weeks, 3 months to a year.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you feel God is calling or whatever your life opens you up to right now, but take a trip and explore it.
Yeah. There's no downside to short-term trips. I mean, at bare minimum, if this wasn't the field for you, you're going to walk away with international experience. And that is probably one of the more valuable things that we've gained, is to learn to think in an international way. Take a short-term trip, and you're like, well, where do I go? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Just ask God, look, I feel like Hawaii is really calling me, right? I mean, wherever God is calling you, wherever you want to go, take a short-term trip. And I'll tell you this, one of the things, when I took my first short-term trip, okay, I had a lot of things working against me before I did that. WGM said, hey, you're going to need to raise, I forget what it was, like $3,800. It's just airfare is expensive, right? For a 2-week trip, this is what it's going to cost. I'm like, well, I can't afford that, but I'll send out letters. Okay. There's your number one, right? Your number two, I'm terrified to fly. I'm the worst missionary out there. I can't fly. I'm scared
It really
to
is
fly.
bad.
If I could take a boat back to the U.S., I would. All right, but and then the third,
I make him sit a whole aisle up ahead
She
of
does.
me
She can't
in the
stand.
in
She
the
can't.
airplane.
She can't
Like
stand.
he's not.
She can't fly with me. She can't. But then your third thing. I worked for a boss, and I love FedEx. FedEx was where I worked for about 14 years, and I loved it. That was my mission field for a while. And I had a boss at the time, and he was tough. I mean, he didn't want to give me 2 days off ever. You know, he was a tough guy. So I thought, God, okay, look, if this is your will, let me just put it to the test. And so I sent out this letter, and within a month and a half, I had to ask people to stop sending money because I was so overfunded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all it was. I said, okay, got it. Okay, now I have the money, right? And so then I go to my boss after I've got the money. This is hilarious. Don't ever do this, by the way. I go to my boss and I say, hey, I've raised some money to go to Uganda, and I'm gonna need 2 weeks off. Please don't hit me, right? And my boss sat there stoically for a moment, and he stared kind of like I'm staring at you, and he just goes, well, I think that's a great idea. I think that's a fantastic idea. In fact, I'll give you a couple of days before and a couple of days after so you can recover from jet lag. I was like, well, I don't know who you are, but when you see my boss, you let him know I'm going to Uganda. And then, you know, and the last thing was getting on that airplane. I'm going to a place that I've never been before. I've never left the United States, and I'm going to get on an airplane. And I got on the airplane, and the peace of God surpassed all understanding. I mean, he held my heart from the time I left, and we hit the storm. You know, I'm like turbulence, but it was okay. I mean, God just took such good care of me. I mean, it was evident. It was just evident. So take a short-term trip. Don't be afraid to do that.
And don't be afraid to fundraise the money. Like
No.
all of those things, if God's in it, it's going to fall into place.
Yeah. Forget your economy. Forget all that stuff. God will take care of it. Yeah.
I love that you say this because we didn't rehearse this by no means, but
Yeah.
Mount Hope, we just changed our mission organization affiliate to
Okay.
SCORE International, and honestly, SCORE is all about short-term trips, and
Yeah,
so
good.
we are really pushing that from our position where we're going to be
Yeah.
taking a bunch of our teams and
Yeah.
teens
Yeah.
on domestic and international trips.
Yeah.
And then we're going to even be receiving teams at the camp to be able to
Cool.
serve in Southern Ohio. So it's going to go both
Yeah.
directions. So I love that you mentioned that because I think that just drives home the fact that short term really does play
They
into
work.
the potential of long term. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They work. They absolutely work. We're living proof of that, without a doubt. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move into kind of your field in Uganda. So I'm just going to kind of leave this blanket kind of open. So you tell us like what you're doing in Uganda, who you minister to, maybe share some stories of what's kind of happened recently or whatever. I'm just going to leave it open and you just share.
Okay.
Let me go first because
That sounds
mine
good.
is much shorter and then he'll talk forever.
Okay. I won't talk about it.
So I am truly, I'm called to be a teacher. That's like my first calling. And that was one of those things where God provided an awesome international school for me to teach at. Most places I will tell them that I just teach math because as soon as I tell them that I teach AP calculus and pre-calculus, people all like turn away from me.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those small little blessings as I always, AP calculus is like my favorite subject, like that first semester of calculus.
Nope.
And in America, I'd lost that window where I'd never be able to teach it. And so by submitting to God and coming here, he allowed me to teach like the one class that I would absolutely love. And so it's just kind of like, I don't know, it was just another one of those affirmation things that, you know, God will put you where you're supposed to be. So that's me. I teach. So it's mostly the juniors and the seniors. And then it's just pretty much an open house at our house. Like they feel comfortable to come over and hang out or watch a movie, or we don't change our lifestyle if they come over. Like if we're getting ready to sit down and eat and they walk in the door, hey, sit down and eat with us.
Yeah.
You know, it's not we don't change anything just because they came over. And I think a lot of them like that because then they don't feel that they're imposing.
Yeah.
And so they feel free to come over. And it's that doing life together, that honesty, that I'm the same person at home with my kids that I am in the classroom, it makes Jesus authentic.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's we obviously do youth ministry together. We both work at a school here called Heritage International School, where she teaches calculus. Wow. But I hate math. I hate it. You're just, now it's on YouTube. But I teach Bible to secondary students, both middle school and high school. I teach theology as well. I'm not a teacher I'm a teacher by nature. I'm not a
Teacher by trade.
Yeah, teacher by trade. I happened to arrive here, and God has by His great grace used me, and we have had an amazing time learning Bible together. And so, so I teach Bible. We do a lot of youth ministry here at our home. I also operate. There's so many ministries, so let me kind of condense it a little bit. But
Heritage is, that's what, 400. I think we're at like 450 students in around 40 different countries. So you really get a world perspective.
Yeah.
But then even outside of that, he's got other ministries.
Yeah. So I also run a discipleship program for young men, middle school, high school, and young women also. I don't run the young women part, called Act Like Men and Act Like Women. And then I have since promoted young men and young women in that to actually run that group called Band of Brothers and Band of Sisters. And it's just a large discipleship program that's really taken off over the last 4 years. That's a lot of fun. Then outside of the school, we do ministry. I do what's called TAP ministry, which is Tiumani AIDS Prevention Program. That is a growing ministry here. We have a lot of marginalized people. If you have let's say you have a birth defect, or you have HIV or AIDS, oftentimes you are pushed to the far side of society, or you're marginalized by society. And so I've joined forces with another organization to work in a capacity as an advocate there, where we go and we spend time with families that are suffering. I mean, if you join us on Facebook, you'll see that's primarily what you'll see, especially now. And there's a lot of suffering that goes on when you are marginalized, poverty that we couldn't even begin to imagine. And so we're in the process of helping some of those families. We have some good news stories. We have some very hard stories. In fact, we lost one of the mothers yesterday. And so that was that's a point of grieving for us, because it was a huge loss. But again, that's the neighborhood we help. That's literally 5 minutes away from where we live, and we just go down every opportunity we have to go and serve and love on those families. And it's not hard. If you have a pair of ears and you can sit down and listen to a story, that's all it is. And that is nobody goes down there. Nobody goes down there, because why would they? You don't have any, from our perspective, they have nothing to offer. But wow, the blessing. I mean, you get to go in there and just listen to their story and feed them and take care of them and just love them. Yeah. Yeah.
I love what you just said there, Justin. If you got a pair of ears, like that's
Yep.
all it takes. It's not hard, right?
It's not. Yeah.
I mean, following Jesus really, yeah, there's aspects where he's going to call you to do some hard things, but loving people, man, it's just, that's what it is. It's really what it is.
Yeah.
Following Jesus is loving people where they are.
Yeah.
And that's evident what you're doing there, especially with the TAP program and everything else you guys are doing. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right. So let me ask you this question, guys.
Okay.
In the midst of the transition to Uganda and what you are doing there, what has been some of the biggest adjustments or challenges you guys have had to make from the U.S. to Uganda, or even while you've been in Uganda? What's been some of the biggest challenges or adjustments?
Internet. No, not really. It's okay.
Internet is like, you guys get, what did I think when we were there 2 years ago? I think I paid $40 a month to get 100 megabytes per second.
Yeah.
Here, it's like the opposite. I pay $100 a month to get four.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Rough.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even that, it's not even always that much. If I can get, if we can yeah. So anyways,
Yeah.
internet here is much, much slower.
There are a lot of, I mean, there are a lot of things that, you know, in our North American minds, we think, well, it should be this way. I would definitely say the changing of the North American mentality. I mean, I love my country. I love America. I really do. There's when you come onto the field, you're being hosted by a country, and you should respond accordingly. Entering a culture with humility, with a willingness to learn, with a heart for the people. If you're able to do that, I would say that's probably one of the things that was hard and at the same time most rewarding. I came here going, you know what? You are kind enough to host me in your country. I'm going to absorb as much of your culture as I can possibly absorb. I'm going to do things your way. I'm not coming in here to tell you how to do things. I want to partner with you so that you can know Jesus, number one, but you can know him more deeply, more intimately, and that we can also celebrate your culture. Just because they're North American doesn't mean we're always right. And in fact, I'll say it like this: Uganda is probably one of the friendliest, the kindest people that I have ever met. Close to Arabs as well. I mean, Arabs are the same way, but like, you can go down the street and you can hold hands with your friend. I mean, people play fight on the street. It's considered rude to walk by and not say hello. And so I think about that, and then I go back to the US and I'm like, man, I miss that. You know, so I would say that's one of the hardest things. You take time for people. You have to slow yourself down, because people matter here. The clock doesn't matter. People matter. And that was the hardest, most valuable lesson that I have learned since I've been here.
I had something and I just lost it.
Internet.
No,
Oh,
it was
okay, never
other
mind,
than
sorry.
the internet. It was the, like when you go to the market, it's a different mindset. Bartering is part of the market. And if they get 10,000 out of me for an item, but Justin knows the price should only be 5,000, they didn't cheat me. It's my fault for not knowing the price. Or even. And so it's that different. There's a different mindset to, you work for it. I worked to get that price from you. I earned that extra money, if that makes sense, because they bartered better than I did, and it's my fault for not bartering better. But yet my American mindset goes, you cheated me. or this way. This is, like in the United States, to go to somebody and ask them, hey, can I have some money? There's a bit of a shame factor with that. Here, that's not the case. In fact, if I come to you and you're a Ugandan, and I come to you and I say, Brett, you know what? I'm having a need. I'm honoring you. And so our prices are a bit higher, and there's no shame in that, because we have more. And so culturally,
there's a culturally, you have more,
you're expected to give more.
Right. And that takes a bit of getting used to. Why are they paying 5,000 when I'm paying 10,000? But you have to let that go, and you have to say, okay, I understand it. Now, you don't just pay whatever, right? I mean, you still barter, but at the same time, you're like, okay, you know what? I have more, and we want to help the economy here. We do. We want the economy to be healthy. We want Ugandans to continue to develop economically. And so part of that is bartering within reason. Yeah.
All right, we're going to keep going here, but before I do, let me stop for anybody that's watching. If you would like to submit a question for Justin and Debbie to answer live, you can either put it in the comments, or you can email it to brett@mounthopebiblecamp.com, BRETT@mounthopebiblecamp.com, or in the comments of the Facebook Live, and I'll be sure to pass that on to them. So let's keep moving. Let me ask this question. What's some of your favorite things to do as a missionary?
Oh my goodness. Oh, you go first. I have so many things I love to do.
I really enjoyed traveling around this country and just seeing, like, it's one of those things. I never expected to leave America. It was never in my mind. But now to be able to, to go to the different places in Uganda and see all of the different beauty, like we went to Sippy Falls, and just, you look out your cabin and there's this gorgeous waterfall, and then you hike around the foothills of Mount Elgon, and like all of these crazy things, like, because if you vacation here, or, my favorite place is to vacation in the Indian Ocean on the Kenyan coast. Like, it is just absolutely gorgeous.
And it's cheap.
It really is.
Cheap. Yeah. And
so it's just, there's, yeah. So there's things like that I never, the traveling around here, and yeah, vacations look different than I thought. And it's really cool to get to see these like beautiful places God's created around the world.
Yeah. I would say the same thing, even locally. If I want to on a Saturday morning, I can get up, I can get on the back of a boda or a motorcycle, and I could pay them to take me down to the docks, because again, we're surrounded by Lake Victoria. I could take a boat out to an island, and I could walk around that island and just meet people. I could spend time just doing that. I could be back. I could be back in my home by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I've literally just gone and spending time with people has got to be the richest experience. That's one of my favorite things to do, is just spending time with people. Because again, these are some of the, as far as personality and kindness and genuineness, these are some of the richest people. And we benefit by getting to be relational with them. And it's not necessarily the other way around. It's that we derive a great deal of pleasure from being able to laugh with them and to just spend time with them. Yeah.
And we're lucky enough to be in the city too. You can go to the mall and the movie theater pretty easily too.
Yeah. We can go to the island, or we can go to a movie. Travel is right now, it's stopped, but when everything is up and running, we
can't even take our personal car out on the road right now.
Yeah, everything's locked down. So, but when it's not, it's just, this is such a relational place. And so you just get out and get to meet people and talk to people, sit in cafes and talk to people behind you. It's not uncommon, and it's not weird. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this. How has the COVID-19 pandemic changed ministry for you in this current season?
Yeah. Well, it's effectively shut down our on-site youth ministry. It shut down my ability to get out into the TAP community. Fortunately, I have a liaison that's able to that lives in that area. That's actually the administrator for that. She is still able to do things in that. But yeah, and then online schooling is a great option. We
already talked about how bad the internet is.
Yeah.
And now you just put all the students on the internet.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I have students all the time, like submitting work late or not being able to submit it in, or going, I spent 20 minutes trying to upload 2 pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard too. I mean, I love teaching Bible. I love teaching theology, but I love teaching it face to face. Because there you can explore the question. And here, again, I can get a written question, and I can write my answer. My answers are long and ridiculous, but just because I love the Bible. But it's just, that's the only part. We just love face-to-face ministry. We love doing face-to-face ministry. So this is a very difficult time.
Let me change it up a little bit too. I've had some of my American friends, like, we don't know personal cars thing. And here, not everybody owns a car like they do in America. Very few people own a car. So if people have access to cars, they're going to go out to the village. They're going to travel. And if they take out personal cars, you take out the ability for the virus to travel.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And he already talked about how relational people are. You don't just go into your home. You have to greet the entire village.
Yep.
So like, if you were from the city and you had coronavirus and then you traveled to your family in the village, you would greet everybody and then you would spread it. So hence why there is like no personal cars, is to cut down the spread of the virus.
Yeah.
But also, I had a friend, we walked almost 7 miles to the grocery store and then we had to have our groceries put on backs of bodas and sent back to the house.
Yeah.
Now it was 7 miles round trip, but like, it's a different way because I can't take my car to the grocery store.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you this question. This question just came in.
Okay.
Did you guys ever struggle with family or friends disagreeing with you going to Uganda? And if so, how did you handle it?
My family was completely supportive until they realized we were actually going to go. It's always
They really thought this was one of his crazy dreams and it wasn't going to happen.
He's just dreaming. Maybe he's raising a little bit of money. And then when we bought plane tickets, it was like, what's happening? What you're going where? You didn't know, yes. So my parents were initially hesitant, or not initially hesitant, but were hesitant when they realized that we were going. And I simply said to my parents at one point in time, this is an opportunity for you to trust the Lord. Did God not raise this amazing amount of money? Did God not show himself to be a great giver and a great provider? Why would we trust him all the way up to this point and then not do it? I think parents, everybody's a good Christian until their kid is involved. Yeah, until their kid is involved, right? Like, oh, it's my kid, right? That's my baby. What?
My mom is on the mission committee, and I've already told you, my parents are amazing Christians, and like they specifically bought our house with in-law quarters so that missionaries could come over and kind of come and go as they please. And everybody always joked with my mom that she needed to have a revolving door because she had so many missionaries coming through her house. Like when they were staying in the area, they almost always stayed with us. Yeah. And so when I told her that we were moving, I did not expect no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, because she is so supportive of missionaries. And it honestly, I don't think it was me, but I was taking her grandkids away from her.
Yeah.
And so all of these hopes and dreams that she had of going to her kids' basketball games and soccer games, I dashed those.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was really hard for her to, I don't know.
What is it?
I don't know. But that was really hard for her, like, because it is a sacrifice. And it's not just a sacrifice for us. It's a sacrifice for the extended families because we unintentionally crushed her dreams. Like, we didn't mean to. And they come out and visit us every year. Yeah. And then we see them on the alternate years. Like, so, and then we face, thankfully technology is better, but that is, there is a lot of sacrifice all the way around that you don't always see coming.
And I think one of the best things that you can do, if a parent or both parents have this adamant fear or whatever, is to acknowledge that and say, I get that. I understand that, because they think that, as a kid, my mom, I'm 46. My mom thinks I'm 5. Right. And so she looks at me and she's like, what, where are you going? What are you going to do? That just doesn't sound safe. I'm like, yeah, from certain perspectives, it really doesn't, Mom. And I get your fear. I mean, I'm always going to be your little boy. Right. But I think acknowledging that fear and then saying, hey, I see that. Let me show you how God has met that. Okay. And we're not guaranteed tomorrow. something could just as easily happen there in the US as it could happen here. But we trust the Lord. He's showing himself to be faithful. And I think if you allow a parent to wrestle with that, and then in grace and in love, let me say that, in grace and in love, just say, hey, I get it. I really do. I understand. And I've had those thoughts as well. However, I really sense a strong call of the Lord. And then let a parent wrestle with that. God's big. He can take care of things like that.
There's some great wisdom in those words. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well, I got it off of Wikipedia.
All right. Well, let's shift gears real quick as we're kind of coming close to the end here. At Mount Hope, one of the things we always ask our missionaries to do to close out the week is to kind of challenge our campers and staff and Mount Hope family, how they can be engaged with what you're doing on the field. And so that's kind of where I want to turn our direction now. So let's ask this: how can people stay connected with what you're doing on the field? And I know there's several ways that you guys are doing that. and offering that. So let me just let you speak to that to start with.
Yeah, sure. So we update our social media a lot.
Yeah.
I am on social media, especially now, because I don't have anything else to do, right? I mean, but I'm on social media so much. We usually update that about once a week with what's going on. Now that's a rare thing to do. If you go to our Facebook page, if you find Justin and Debbie Williams, you should be able to find a link from there to, I believe it's called For His Glory. And that's our ministry page. Now, whatever happens on my ministry page, I usually also share that on my personal page. So if you don't want to get on the site for whatever, that's fine. I'm on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram. I don't even know what my Instagram name is.
I don't know. But for the detailed persons, we're not Justin and Debbie. I am a Debbie Williams, and he is a Justin Williams. We have two separate Facebook
Two separate
pages.
accounts. Yeah.
And the For His Glory is the number 4, not spelled out the word
Yeah.
4.
So F. Yeah.
No, it's the number 4 is glory.
Where am I? Who is this? Okay, right. For His
That's
Glory.
why he needs me.
Yeah, it's called For His Glory. We always update that site. That's where you get the most up-to-date information. We also do an email blast, and if you'd be interested in getting an email, I blast like last night. I do one usually at the least every 2 weeks, just to let you know what's going on. I mean, right now it's pretty slow, but we still have things going on, and we're at lowercase Williams 1198 at gmail.com, and I'll be happy to add you there as well.
I
But
don't think that's your email address.
lowercase Williams 11.
Isn't it 051698?
Oh, let me back up because I'm bad with numbers. Let me try that again. Lowercase Williams 051698 at gmail.com. That's Williams.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even think that email exists.
All right.
Right.
Let me make
Sorry
sure I
about
got it. Williams 051698 at gmail.com.
That's it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So for those watching, I have actually put a link in the Facebook comments to
Cool.
For His Glory Facebook page, as well
Cool.
as the email. So you guys
Yeah.
can check that out. And I'll be honest, I can attest to this. The Williams are fantastic about keeping people up to date with what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that testifies to just their, just kind of their heart of wanting to be able to share what God is doing in Uganda. So if you're not already, if you've not already liked their For His Glory Facebook page, do that so you can get those updates. And then you can check out their newsletter as well by going to Williams 051698 at gmail.com.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and let me ask this question. If somebody would like to give towards your support, how could they do that?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the name of the link.
If you go on World Gospel Mission, I think it's WGM.org,
Yeah.
and then /Williams. Used to take you there. I feel like it's missionary, and then Williams will take you there.
Yeah. If you go to WGM.org, you can look up Justin and Debbie Williams, and then you'll see our pretty smiling faces. And then underneath that, there's a place to give. And again, we welcome that. Part of what you just spoke to was the reason that we communicate with our partners so much is because it is a we. It's not us. Everybody thinks, well, you missionaries are out there doing that. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. From the person that gives $5 in their lifetime to the person that gives oodles of money monthly, it doesn't matter. That everyone is a part of the team, and everyone is a truly valued member of the team. That's why if you add us, you will get communication from me, and it's personal communication, because I want you to understand that there is that missions is we. It's not us. It's we. And people have really enjoyed being a part of saving lives. I mean, even right now, we just did a food distribution, and it saved people's lives. And so The people that give $5 in a lifetime, they've done that. They've saved a life, and they need to know that, because I think a lot of times they feel like, well, it's just not an. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. You give from the heart, and God will take and use every penny of it. And you need to know that. And I'll let you know how. I'll let you know how. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And
So
also, guys, I went ahead and put the link to that giving page in the comments as
awesome.
well.
Thank you.
So that's there. All right. So let me maybe we'll follow up with two more, and then we'll kind of wrap up.
Okay.
One maybe kind of serious, one definitely not. So we'll start with a serious one, and we'll finish out. How could our Mount Hope family be praying for you all right now?
Well, we have several things. The first thing that I would pray for. Let me say this. We need more missionaries in Uganda. And there may be a thought out there, and I think I said this earlier. There's a thought out there that you have to be a pastor, that you have to be an evangelist, that you have to be a teacher or a nurse or a doctor in order to be a missionary. That's not true. If you have the ability to take photos, if you have the ability to take video, if you have business expertise, if you are relationally good, if you know how to develop relationships, if you have an open, there's no limit to the type of people that we need here that can serve in all kinds of capacities. So don't think, well, I'm not a Bible teacher. Okay, so what? We need people that can do videos. I would love to have someone come in and be able to shoot our field, or the different families on our field, and be able to show the world this is what they're doing. I mean, that is invaluable, because that's time for the rest of us. And then you're doing what you love to do. That's ministry. That's ministry. So we need more missionaries in our field. We need more people here in Uganda. WGM, we want more missionaries to come into WGM. We love our organization. And so they're an incredible organization. WGM is amazing. Then I would pray, obviously, for COVID-19 right now is difficult. We can't get back. I'm diabetic. So I'm at the end of 2 years of diabetic supplies. By the grace of God, I have enough to last me for a while, but we would really like to get out and be able to get those supplies. That would be really, really wonderful.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I teach seniors, and I'm also on senior committee. So just the loss of those seniors of graduation, but then like these guys go all around the world. And this group that they're graduating with are probably the people that will know them better, identify with their circumstances better than anybody else they're going to come in contact. Yeah. You know, because of missionary kids and the international flavor of their education, it's just going to be different from anybody else. And so that loss of, I don't know, understanding and celebration, it's a really big loss. Yeah. And then also for my kids, dealing with the fact that it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get to America this summer. You know, and the not seeing friends, not seeing grandparents, like, you know, we've been looking forward to that for 2 years. And now all of a sudden it's like, what do you mean I can't get this? Or that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will definitely, as our Mount Hope family, be praying for you all, especially those specific requests for sure, for certain. All right. Well, let's do this. One last one. All right. It's definitely down your guys' alley. Give us a funny story of something that has happened to you as
you are
a
a funny
missionary.
Story king.
Okay. All right. This one's going to be, it's not terribly long, but let me tell it. Should I tell the Squatty Potty story?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to tell you.
I think that means yes.
This is gonna okay. This is
a friend's missionary
team.
team.
Yeah, this is one that
us personally. We have heard this story.
Yeah,
we can attest to the truth of this story.
So we had a missionary team come, and we love teams, but we weren't with this team. They had gone out to what's called the Buvuma Islands, and out on the Buvuma Islands, there's no running water, there's no electricity, and the bathroom is a hole in the ground. Okay, so if you have to go to the restroom, it's a hole in the ground. So it gets dark. Well, as you can see, it's already getting dark now.
About
But
7 o'clock at night, it's done. And the
And it-
islands, there's no running water, no electricity.
so it's really dark, right? And so it was a pastor who was an outdoors guy, and it was his wife was not. She was make sure that everything is clean, and if not, I'm going to lose it. So they told her before it gets dark, you should probably use the restroom. It's okay to do it when it's dark, but you're going to need a flashlight. And she's like, she was convinced she wasn't going to go to the restroom for 3 straight days. So anyway, they tell her, look, if you're not going to go and you have to go in the middle of the night, okay, no problem. You have 2 options. You can slink in there without a light, do what you need to do, and then get out. Or you bang on the door, step to the side, throw the door open, and let everything fly out, slither out, crawl out, because there's a lot of bugs and lizards and snakes and whatnot. So sure enough, about midnight, she has to use the restroom, and she goes in to use the restroom. And she does not put the flashlight on. She puts it in her mouth. And so she goes in, she has the flashlight off, and it's in her mouth. She loses her balance, and her foot goes in the hole. So now she's stuck.
And it's like an almost full squatty potty.
And it's a full squatty potty. So she's really stuck. She hits the ground. She bites down on the flashlight, and it comes on. And now she sees what she's trapped in there with and is screaming at the top of her lungs. And so unfortunately, she had also locked the door. And so it took them a while to get the door open and to get her out. Fortunately, they spent hours cleaning her up. And so she's never coming back to Uganda again. She will never come back to Uganda again. That was a terrible experience for her.
But it's funny for the rest
But we
of us.
laugh and we laugh because it's so hilarious.
Oh,
I would still be pouring bleach on
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
If that
I mean,
happened to me.
it's definitely not the cleanest situation, but oh my goodness, that was hilarious. Yeah, so that's one story of many. But yeah, that was one of the funniest things. I remember laughing for 2 straight days when I heard that.
yeah.
So.
That story might win. That might win
Yeah.
the contest right there. That's good. That's good. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time today to chat with us. And for those of you tuning in, thank you for watching. Also, guys, please know that all of this recording and all the others will be on our mobile app for Mount Hope Bible Camp, on our website, and on our YouTube channel as well. And then just a quick preview. Next week will be with Ethan and Ashley Bachelet, and on Thursday, Nathaniel and Nicole Summers. Again, both of those WGM missionaries that we've had at Mount Hope.
We've gone through training with both of them.
Yep, we have.
All right. Well, hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the live feed. So let me go ahead and do that real
Bye,
quick.
everybody.
Bye, guys.